A scent is not something you wear. It is something you become. It enters you through breath. It alters memory. It shifts mood without asking permission. The fragrance you choose reveals not what you want others to smell, but what you need to remember about yourself. What essence you are trying to embody. What you is waiting beneath the one you show the world. Today, we invite you to choose, not with your nose, but with your soul. Before you are for fragrances. Amber resin in an ancient vial. White jasmine in a crystal sphere. Dark oud in black obsidian. Fresh rain in frosted glass. Do not choose based on what you think smells good. Do not select what is popular or expensive or impressive. Do not pick what you believe others would choose for you. Instead, close your eyes, breathe, and notice which scent calls to something wordless inside you. Which one feels like coming home to a version of yourself you had forgotten. Alan Watts once said that you are not a stranger in this universe. You are the universe in disguise. So choose the fragrance that reveals which disguise you are ready to remove. Your choice is made. Now, let us breathe in what it reveals about the essence you have been carrying all along. If the amber resin called to you, you carry memories that are not your own. You are drawn to what is old, to what has been preserved through time. Two scents that smell like temples you have never visited, incense from ceremonies you never attended, earth from places you have never walked. You do not just wear fragrance, you wear time itself. You wear the weight of lineage, ancestry, the deep knowing that you are not the first person to feel this way. This is your depth. You understand that wisdom is not invented, it is remembered. That the truths you seek have already been spoken in languages that no longer exist. That the questions you ask have been asked by every human who has ever stood beneath the same stars and wondered why. People feel something timeless in your presence. You do not speak in trends or reference what is current. You pull from a well that seems bottomless. You quote philosophers who have been dead for centuries as if you knew them personally. And in a way, you did. Because you were them, wearing a different face, living a different life, but carrying the same ancient questions. You are the keeper of what should not be forgotten, the one who refuses to let the past dissolve into irrelevance. You wear amber resin because it smells like permanence in a world obsessed with disposability. But the amber resin carries a heaviness that can suffocate you. Because when you live in reverence of the past, you can become trapped by it. When you wear time like armor, you can forget that you also exist in the present. You spend so much energy honoring what was that you have no energy left for what is. You romanticize suffering because it feels ancient. You accept patterns because they are familiar, even when they are destructive. You stay loyal to traditions that no longer serve you simply because they have history. And you call this wisdom, but Watts would call it fear disguised as reverence. The amber resin has hardened around you. What was once fluid tree sap has become solid, and you are encased in it. You have preserved yourself so carefully that you have forgotten how to grow, how to change, how to become something the ancestors never imagined. You wear the scent of temples and think it makes you holy. But holiness is not about honoring the past. It is about being fully alive right now. And you are not fully alive. You are beautifully preserved. And there is a difference. Watts taught that the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. The amber resin has taught you to honor what came before, to carry wisdom forward, to refuse to let the ancient voices be silenced by the noise of modernity. But what it is teaching you now is that reverence for the past does not require living in it. That you can honor the ancestors by becoming something they could not be, by evolving, by breaking the patterns they could not break. You are learning this, that the past is not a place to return to. It is a foundation to build upon. That tradition is valuable only when it serves life, not when life is sacrificed to serve tradition. That the amber has preserved something precious, but preservation is not the same as vitality. Amber is fossilized resin. It once flowed through living trees. It was sticky, messy, alive, and then it hardened. It stopped changing. It became beautiful in its stillness, but it also stopped being what it was. This is your teaching that you can carry the wisdom of the ages without becoming a fossil. that you can honor the past while remaining fluid enough to meet the future. That the greatest way to respect your ancestors is not to repeat their lives, is to live yours fully. If you chose the amber resin, you are the bridge between what was and what is. You do not need to abandon the ancient to be present. You only need to stop using the past as a shield against the vulnerability of now. Your true self is not the amber. It is the life that flowed before it hardened. The resin that knew how to move, how to heal, how to change form. And when you finally allow yourself to soften, again not forgetting the past, but no longer imprisoned by I too, will discover that the ancestors do not want you to repeat their story. They want you to write your own. If the white jasmine called to you, you still believe in innocence. You are drawn to what is delicate, what blooms at night, what releases its scent only when no one is performing. You do not wear jasmine to impress, you wear it because it reminds you that beauty does not need to be loud to be noticed, that purity does not need to be defended to remain pure. This is your gift. You have somehow managed to move through a world that rewards cynicism without becoming cynical, a world that punishes vulnerability without closing your heart. You have been hurt, and yet you still approach each new person, each new experience, with a kind of radical openness that others have long ago abandoned. People feel safe with you because you do not carry judgment. You do not assume the worst. You see the potential in people, even when they have stopped seeing it in themselves. You offer second chances, third chances, infinite chances. Because you believe that underneath all the armor, everyone is still the child who once knew how to love without conditions. You are the white jasmine, the fragrance that blooms in darkness and refuses to let the darkness change its nature. But the white jasmine carries a fragility that can become your undoing. Because when you believe in innocence, you can be blind to malice. When you offer openness, you can be taken advantage of by those who see your purity as naivety. When you give infinite chances, you can forget that some people do not want to change, they only want access to your endless forgiveness. You tell yourself that seeing the good in everyone is a strength. But Watts would ask, is it strength, or is it a refusal to see clearly? Is it love, or is it a fear of being the kind of person who judges, who protects themselves, who says no? The white jasmine does not have thorns. It cannot defend itself. It simply blooms and hopes that the world will be gentle with it. And when the world is not gentle, when it crushes the petals, when it takes without asking, when it treats your purity as something to be exploited, do not harden. You do not learn. You just keep blooming, hoping the next time will be different. You wear white jasmine like a prayer, like an offering, like proof that you have not been corrupted by what you have survived. But purity is not the same as wisdom. And refusing to protect yourself is not the same as being open. Watts once said that you cannot have a front without a back. You cannot have up without down. You cannot have innocence without experience. The white jasmine has taught you to remain open in a closed world, to stay soft in a hard world, to believe in beauty even when ugliness surrounds you. But what it is teaching you now is that true purity includes discernment, that real love includes boundaries, that the most innocent thing you can do is stop allowing yourself to be hurt in the name of staying pure. You are learning this, that protecting yourself does not make you less loving, that saying no does not make you less open, that you can bloom and have thorns, that you can be pure and strong, that the jasmine that survives is not the one that blooms for everyone, it is the one that blooms for those who have earned the privilege of its scent. White jasmine blooms at night, in darkness, when most flowers are closed, but it does not bloom for every passerby. It blooms for the moon, for the stars, for the ones who see it even in the dark. This is your teaching, that you do not need to harden to be wise. You only need to learn that your openness is precious. And precious things are not given freely. They are offered carefully to those who know how to receive them. If you chose the white jasmine, you carry a heart that refuses to close. You do not need to become cynical to protect yourself. You only need to learn that discernment is not judgment, is self-love. Your true self is not the innocence. It is the awareness that can remain pure while also being wise, that can stay open while also being protected. And when you finally learn to bloom selectively, not for everyone, but for those who deserve your fragrance, you will discover that you were never naive. You were only generous with the wrong people. If the dark oud called to you, you are not afraid of intensity. You are drawn to what is rich, what is complex, what takes years to develop and cannot be rushed or replicated. Oud is not a scent for the faint of heart. It is smoky, animalic, ancient in a way that makes amber look young. It is the smell of wood that has rotted and been infected and transformed into something more valuable than it was when it was alive. This is your power. You understand that beauty is not always soft, that transformation is not always gentle, that the most valuable things are often born from decay, from darkness, from the process of breaking down and becoming something else entirely. You do not shy away from your shadow. You do not pretend to be lighter than you are. You have walked through your darkness, and instead of trying to escape it, you learned its language. You know your rage, your jealousy, your capacity for cruelty. And you do not apologize for any of it, because you know that denying the dark only gives it more power. People are both drawn to and intimidated by your intensity. You do not offer easy comfort. You do not make small talk. You do not dilute yourself to make others comfortable. You are the dark oud, overwhelming, unapologetic, impossible to ignore. But the dark oud carries a danger that hides in its richness. Because when you spend too much time in the shadow, you can forget that you also cast light. When you are so comfortable in darkness, you can begin to romanticize it, to make an identity out of it, to treat your intensity as proof of depth when sometimes it is just unprocessed pain wrapped in mystique. You wear your darkness like a badge. You speak about your shadow with a kind of pride. You have made yourself into the complicated one, the deep one, the one who has been to hell and chose to stay there. And you judge those who seek lightness as shallow, as naive, as people who have not suffered the way you have. The dark oud becomes a costume, a performance of depth, and beneath the performance, you are terrified that if you ever stepped into the light, people would see that you are not as complex as you pretend to be. That your darkness is not wisdom, it is just fear of being ordinary. Watts would ask you, are you embracing your shadow, or are you hiding in it? Are you integrating darkness, or are you using it as an excuse to never have to face your capacity for joy? Watts taught that the sun is always shining, even when clouds obscure it. The dark oud has taught you that transformation comes through darkness, that beauty can be born from decay, that you do not need to hide your shadow to be worthy. But what it is teaching you now is that integration means holding both, that the shadow walker must eventually walk back into the light, that you cannot live in perpetual night and call it enlightenment. You are learning this, that darkness is part of the journey, not the destination. That shadow work is meant to integrate, not to become your entire identity. That the most powerful thing you can do is not to dwell in darkness, it is to carry it consciously, while also allowing yourself to experience lightness, joy, and the simple pleasure of not being heavy all the time. Oud comes from infected wood, but the infection is not the goal. The goal is the resin that forms in response to it, the transformation, the medicine created from poison. And once the medicine is created, you do not keep infecting the wood. You harvest what has been formed, and you use it to heal. This is your teaching, that you have done the shadow work. You have walked through darkness. And now it is time to use what you found there, to create something beautiful, not to set up permanent residence in the underworld. If you chose the dark oud, you know what it means to face what others fear. You do not need to abandon your intensity to be whole. You only need to stop using darkness as proof that you are more evolved than those who seek light. Your true self is not the shadow. It is the awareness that can hold shadow and light without being consumed by either. That can walk through darkness and return changed but not destroyed. And when you finally allow yourself to step into the light, not to escape your depth, but to express it fully, you will discover that darkness was never the truth. It was only half of it. If the fresh rain called to you, you are done pretending. You are drawn to what is clean, what is simple, what smells like the world after a storm has washed everything away and left only clarity. You do not need complexity to feel deep. You do not need intensity to feel real. You have learned that the most profound truth is often the simplest one. You are here. You are alive. And that is enough. This is your freedom. You have stopped trying to be interesting. Stopped performing depth. Stopped wearing fragrance to tell a story about who you want people to think you are. You wear fresh rain because it smells like honesty. Like the moment after you have cried and the air feels different. Like relief, you have released so much. So many identities, so many stories, so many ways you thought you needed to be. And what remains is just you unadorned, uncomplicated, present. You do not need to be ancient or pure or dark or anything other than exactly what you are in this moment. People feel peace around you because you are not trying to be anything. You have stopped performing. You have stopped pretending that life is more mysterious than it is. You have arrived at the simple recognition that being alive is the mystery, and everything else is just decoration. But the fresh rain carries an emptiness that can feel like loss. Because when you release all the stories, you can also release your sense of self. When you stop performing, you can forget who you are beneath the performance. When you simplify everything, you can accidentally discard the richness that made life feel meaningful. You tell yourself you are liberated. But sometimes liberation feels like amnesia. You have let go of so much that you do not know what you are holding anymore. You are free, but you are also unanchored, drifting, light in a way that sometimes feels less like enlightenment and more like disappearing. The fresh rain washes everything clean, but it also washes everything away. And you have washed away so much the trauma, yes, but also the passion, the stories, yes, but also the meaning. The performance, yes, but also the personality. Watts would ask you, is this freedom or is this detachment? Is this presence or is this numbness? Is this liberation or is this the spiritual bypass that uses simplicity as an excuse to never feel deeply again? Watts once said that the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it. The fresh rain has taught you to release, to let go, to wash away what is no longer true. But what it is teaching you now is that liberation is not the absence of everything. It is the presence to anything. That freedom is not about having nothing. It is about not being controlled by what you have. You are learning this, that simplicity is powerful when it is chosen, not when it is used to avoid complexity. That clarity is valuable when it reveals truth, not when it is used to bypass feeling. That the fresh rain is beautiful because it cleans. But life is not meant to be perpetually clean. It is meant to be lived, and living is messy. Rain falls, it cleans. And then life grows again. Flowers bloom. Dirt accumulates, scents return. The rain does not fall once and leave the earth barren. It falls, and then it allows the world to become full again. This is your teaching, that you can be simple and full, clear and rich, free and committed. That liberation is not about removing everything, it is about no longer being imprisoned by anything, including the story that to be free, you must have nothing. If you chose the fresh rain, you have learned to release what does not serve. You do not need to complicate yourself to matter. You only need to remember that simplicity is not the same as emptiness, that clarity is not the same as absence. Your true self is not the rain. It is the earth that remains after the rain falls, the ground that can be washed clean and still grow new life. And when you finally allow yourself to be both clear and full, both simple and rich, you will discover that you were never meant to be empty. You were only meant to stop being cluttered. And there is a difference. Fragrance is invisible, but it shapes everything. It alters mood, it triggers memory. It announces presence before words are spoken. Carl Jung understood that what we are drawn to reveals what we are integrating. The amber teaching the ancient one to be present. The jasmine teaching the pure heart to protect itself. The oud teaching the shadow walker to seek light. The rain teaching the liberated to allow fullness. But Alan Watts would say this: you are not the fragrance. You are the breath that carries it. The awareness that notices it. The space in which all scents arise and dissolve. The perfume you chose reveals the essence you are currently embodying, but it does not define what you are, because what you are cannot be captured in a bottle. It cannot be distilled, it cannot be worn. The test was never about which fragrance you chose. It was about recognizing that you are not the scent. You are the presence that makes all scent perceptible. You are not what you wear. You are what remains when every fragrance fades. So what now? Perhaps you recognized yourself in the fragrance you chose. Perhaps you saw the essence you have been embodying. Perhaps you felt uncomfortable because the scent revealed something you were not ready to smell. All of this is part of the recognition. You are not here to find the right fragrance. You are here to notice what you have been trying to embody. What essence you have been performing. What you is waiting beneath the one you show the world. Today, you chose one scent. Tomorrow, you may be drawn to another. Not because you were wrong, but because you are changing. Because essence is not fixed. Because the ancient are learning to be present. Because the pure are learning to protect. Because the dark are learning to lighten. Because the liberated are learning to feel. Do not make the fragrance your identity. Let it show you something about where you are, and then allow yourself to change scent if you need to. Because the truth is, you are not the amber, not the jasmine, not the oud, not the rain. You are the awareness that can wear any essence without being defined by it. The presence that remains constant beneath every fragrance. And that presence, formless and free, is the only self you need to know. Alan Watts once said, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." Today, you chose a fragrance, but the scent was not the point. The point was to notice what essence you have been trying to embody, what you have been performing, what truth you have been hiding or revealing through the invisible language of scent. The fragrance revealed something about how you want to be perceived, but it cannot define what you are, because what you are is not something that can be bottled, sprayed, or worn. You are the breath that carries every scent, the awareness that notices every fragrance, the presence that remains unchanged regardless of what essence moves through it. So, where your amber, where your jasmine, where your oud, where your rain. But never forget, you are not the fragrance. You are the one who breathes it in, and that breath, that awareness, is the only essence you ever needed. If something in this reflection lingered with you, if you recognized yourself in the fragrance you chose, we invite you to share it in the comments below. Not to explain, not to justify, but simply to acknowledge what essence you saw in yourself. To witness and be witnessed by others who are also learning what they have been trying to embody. Each comment is an exhale. Each share is a scent trail. And together, we create the garden where all fragrancizing scent and pure, dark and light are allowed to bloom. And subscribe to this channel so we can grow together. There are more reflections waiting, more symbols, more invitations to see yourself clearly without being defined by what you see. Stay, not because you need to, but because something in you recognizes the scent of home. And until we meet again, remember this: you are not the fragrance. You are the breath. And breath cannot be captured, cannot be sold, cannot be contained. It simply moves. And in moving, it carries everything. See you in the next reflection.